Think you need millions of followers to hit six figures? Well, what if I told you there is a way to make 100K in just 6 months with a tiny channel? In this video, I'm going to share my exact strategy to grow fast, make an impact, and reach 100K without a massive audience. And having now sold over 7 figures in courses and mentorships over the last 4 years, if I were to go back to the very beginning and I was desperate to earn as quickly as possible and do this full time, this is exactly what I would do. Okay, so before we even start rushing to record as many videos as possible and get views and subscribers, first I would plan this out and have a strategy. And the very first thing I need to discover is how can I add value to the marketplace? What have I experienced or achieved, or what kind of transformation do I have that we can talk about and really help people out? I wouldn't worry about how to make money from it just yet. And I would just sit down and think, if I had to meet a complete stranger and I had to teach them something, something that I'm really good at, what could it be? It doesn't have to be a really big, impactful thing either. It could be as small as learning how to use Excel, or if I absolutely love animals and have a very well-trained dog, why not teach people how to train their pets? See, when I speak to clients, they always come to me with the exact same answer. Well, I don't know. I haven't achieved anything that is worth sharing with the world. And that just couldn't be further from the truth. I am not saying you need to be the best in the world at something. You just need to be a little bit better than the average person and something that they will find valuable. And guess what? Later down the line, when you start creating content around that subject, because you will have to do all of this research, you will naturally get better and better. It's weird to say, but teaching others is actually a great way of learning and remembering more yourself. Now, another thing to consider besides what you're actually good at is also what do you enjoy talking about in detail over and over again. See, when I started my journey on YouTube, I was sharing tips on how to start your own Amazon FBA business. And having sold over 500,000 at the time of starting my YouTube channel, I knew I was able to share something that other people would find useful. I mean, come on, who didn't want to make a little bit of extra money during the pandemic? But something was missing. I actually wasn't really that passionate about it. Every video was like a drag. I did it because I wanted to help people and the comments I was getting were really nice. But it really felt like getting a second part-time job. And those sort of feelings, if not addressed properly, do lead to eventual burnout, which is exactly what happened to me 4 years later, hence why I had to change the direction of my own channel and started speaking about something that I'm far more interested in and passionate about. So before you go any further, take the time to really think about your videos and what they're going to be about. You can always change the direction of your channel later, which is exactly what I did, but having a clear plan in place from the very beginning is going to be really, really helpful. Okay, so now that we've figured out what are we going to talk about, the next thing I would do is figure out who I'm going to be talking to. And this is just, if not more important thing to do. Because depending on who I choose to speak to will really impact the rest of my social media journey. People in their 50s hang out on very different platforms than people in their teenage years. They both may want the same thing, say lose a few kilos and get in shape. But one is much more likely to be found on TikTok, whilst the other is far more likely to be hanging around Facebook groups. To give you an idea, let me just take an example of fitness. Let's say you're a fitness professional and want to get some online clients. You do understand that posting videos on how to lose weight and gain muscle in general just won't cut it. We are now in 2024. There are hundreds of thousands of creators making generic videos like this all of the time. It will not get you views, and even if it does by some miracle, it won't get you any clients because you're being just way too broad and too generic. We have to niche down. So in order to make my point, I'm going to use one of my clients as an example. Her journey started as a PT in her local gym. She really didn't like working on the gym floor every single day and decided to take off things online where she can just coach more clients and make money from using her laptop. She essentially wanted to have more time freedom and work from wherever she wanted and therefore get to travel more at the same time. Now, before speaking to me, she started by posting videos on Instagram and TikTok about generic exercise, fat loss, and just mindset tips. And guess what it got her? Nowhere. She had a few clients, but the call calendar stayed empty every single week. And after a few months of literally going nowhere, I gave her a quick piece of advice to niche down. And so she did. Instead of speaking to everyone, she started speaking to just women. Now, the content was still the same, but she was addressing women in her videos and discussing things like home workouts, how not to feel intimidated on the gym floor, what leggings to wear, and so on. And did she start seeing results? Did she start getting some clients? Nope. So she came back to me another 2 months later desperate asking for help because by that point she has now left her job and her savings were running low and she needed a way to make some money online. So I told her to niche down even further. And instead of just targeting women, we decided to target brides. In other words, women who were just about to get married and wanted to be in the best shape of their lives. And boy, oh boy, did that make a difference. All of a sudden, she went from having no appointments to booking 5 to 6 calls per week and closing around half of them. The views did not change, but what did change was her message. She became so much more clear about what she was targeting instead of just speaking about fat loss tips for women. She was gearing her content back towards the big wedding day. And on top of that, she started collaborating with other businesses in the wedding industry. So wedding photographers were giving her clients, cake decorators were giving her clients, wedding florists were giving her clients, all of this for a commission, of course. But can you just see how niching down made all of the difference? And safe to say her savings are much better now. When it comes to figuring out your ideal avatar, just like with the content strategy earlier, it would be good to take the time out and plan who exactly will you speak to. Like, what are their fears, motivations, and problems that I can potentially help with? What social media platforms do they usually hang out on? Don't make the mistake and go for the ones that you are most likely to get views on. Yep, that was me last year posting videos on TikTok thinking going viral is going to make me more money. And almost 900,000 followers later, I realized that was not the case because teenagers are not even allowed to open up their own businesses. Don't make the mistake that I made and create proper plan before recording your first videos. All right, so the next step I have spoken about before, and no matter how many times I speak about it, it never gets less painful because it took me 3 years to figure out the size of my mistake of not creating a lead magnet and start collecting my audience's emails. And this is super important because social media is full of noise. 1 minute your audience is watching your content, the next they're looking at prank videos. Then they may watch the news. Then a few videos about cats right before going to sleep. I would need to figure out a way to pull myself away from all of that noise and get them to take my content a lot more seriously. And an email list is exactly how I would do that. Have you ever received a bank statement in an Instagram DM? Of course not. Have you ever received plane tickets on a Facebook message? No, because that would be weird, wouldn't it? All of that stuff we take seriously always comes through us via email. And that's where we want our audience to see our content. I want them to stop and read and be in the mindset of potentially buying my offer, not when they're on the toilet trying to pass time. So what is a lead magnet and how do we convince our audience to give us their email addresses? First of all, a lead magnet is a simple web page which has one purpose, and that is to convince the audience to give us their email address, and that's it. How do we do that? Well, we do that by providing something of value in exchange. For example, right now, I am giving away 30 tips on how to turn views into profit in 30 days. So if you sign up to my lead magnet, you will get an automated email sent to you every single day for the next month to essentially help you make more money from social media. Sounds quite useful, right? I could have done that in a PDF or a guide and send it all in one email, but come on, ask yourself, how many PDFs and guides have you really followed? Me personally? Not one. So instead of just giving you a guide that will be forgotten about 5 minutes later, I give a helpful tip each day. That way you are much more likely to read it, use it, and I get a chance to remind you of myself and my services. And at the end of those 30 days, if you are not interested, that's totally fine. At least I provided some value that hopefully you will find useful. When creating a lead magnet, I would never start speaking about how great I am and how much I have achieved. The truth is, we all care for ourselves. And this is where it's really useful to remember a very good acronym when it comes to lead pages. And that is WIFM. In other words, what's in it for me? When people land on your lead pages, what do they get out of it? By putting the audience first, we are far more likely to get the email and show the audience that we genuinely care and want to help. But does it stop there? Once the automation is over, do I never speak to them again? Oh, no. I will continue staying in touch and sending out emails. I spent all of this time getting their attention on social media, getting them to hand over their personal information, and after the automation is finished, I'm just going to let them go? No chance. I am prepared to write at least 1 to 3 emails a week to my email list, whether that is giving out helpful tips, keeping them up to date with the latest trends, or anything else in my niche that they may find useful. You can never give too much value and information to your audience. All right, one last thing that I would set up before moving on to content, and that's a way to get my audience to reach me. I hope I don't have to state the obvious that you need to have an email on your YouTube channel as well as other social media platforms that you are going to be posting on. And make sure that email is a business email, not something that ends in Outlook or gmail.com. But on top of that, I would also set up a Calendly link for a private one-to-one calls. Now, this is completely up to you, but you can either do it paid or unpaid. The goal here is not really to make as much money as possible yet. I mean, it may make me some, but the real target is to start speaking to my audience on a one-to-one basis. Yes, I have done my target avatar research and I've written down their fears and problems and how can I help them. But this is the first time I can actually speak to them and see if my content I'm making is actually relatable. I want to find out if what I'm talking about is actually helpful. I know that we all think our content is great and can't be any better, but who knows, my target audience might tell you otherwise. I would use these calls to do research and find out what they like, what they don't like, and what needs changing. And these people that you speak to on a one-to-one basis will be a great tool to keep refining your message later down the line. I would get that set up and take those calls very seriously, no matter if they're paid or not paid. I mean, we never know who's speaking on the other line. If I was really desperate to make some quick cash, I may consider affiliate marketing. Now, I'm not a big fan of affiliate marketing for the long term, as it's always more beneficial to the company that you are promoting than yourself. However, if I do find companies that are closely aligned with my message and the content, then why not put an affiliate link on my social media platforms temporarily? I mean, I don't recommend having it long term, as it will distract people from your core offer, which you can control and keep 100% of the money that comes in. But at the very beginning, when money is a bit tight, there is nothing wrong with having a few links. Just one thing to remember, and that is to make sure that not only the brand is closely aligned with what you're talking about, but I would also use their products and services, and I would make sure that I clearly like them. I really don't want to align myself with a company that I have nothing in common with. Or even worse, a company that is producing a terrible product or has terrible customer service. Because if that happens and their reputation goes down the drain, guess what? My reputation will be affected too. And if you don't believe me, just look at all of the influencers who were getting paid thousands of dollars to promote FTX, which at the end turned out to be a big scam. Those influencers still have not restored their reputation, and this scandal happened like 2 years ago. All right, so it seems like we have now set up everything. What's the next step? Well, the next step is to actually start posting. Now, before you do, I would suggest not following the conventional advice of just post 100 videos because they're going to be terrible anyway. No need to look at the statistics. Boy, do I think that is some terrible advice. Yes, your first few videos may be terrible unless you are some freak and you're supernatural on camera. But those videos should be taken as lessons. Lessons that you can look into and see what works and what didn't. See, each video would teach me more about titles and thumbnails and viewer retention. Where did people continue to watch and where did people drop off? And it should also tell me what I should show in my videos and what things should I maybe not discuss. If I just post for the sake of posting, I would just be getting more and more comfortable in front of the camera, but I would be wasting valuable lessons and time, pushing that 100K goal in 6 months just further and further away. And this is also the time that I would experiment with my content. I won't get many views anyway, but I can still figure out based on people's likes and comments what type of content really resonates with them the most, and what type of content I should be posting more of and what I should be avoiding. With videos, it always goes like this. You post, it flops. You learn, you post, it flops a little less, and you learn again. Then you post and it does okay. So you learn and you double down. Literally every video you post is a lesson. What's important here to remember is that consistency is key. I wouldn't be looking to be perfect. Matter of fact, we're never going to be perfect, but it's those constant reps day in and day out that will keep making us getting better and better, which is what really matters long term. And speaking of long term brings me on to my next point. The social media that you and I are in for, this is not just for a few months. You have to be prepared to stick around and speak in front of the lens for years to come. This means that we need to start thinking of ways to make this process as sustainable as possible. We need to make sure that we are efficient at making good quality content consistently. And one way of doing that is by batching the content. In other words, instead of coming up with the idea, scripting the idea, filming the video, then editing, then posting, I would think of 7 ideas one day, then script them that day, then film the next, and then edit and post the days after. See, chopping and changing between tasks all the time is going to be burning me out very quickly, and that is the last thing I need, especially early on in my journey. When you are super efficient, social media won't even need to take up more than like 20 hours a week, because I would highly recommend to try and outsource as much as possible. Anything that I would think other people can do better job than me, I would hand it over as quickly as I can. So this means two things. First, the money that I might be making from affiliate marketing or those one-to-one calls here and there, that should be going into the video editor or a thumbnail designer instead of going back into my pocket. I would try and reinvest back into my content as much as possible so I can focus on the important tasks, the ones that move the needle the most, and leave everything else to my brand new team. So some of the things that to outsource would be things like video editing, thumbnail design, videography if I would be doing videos outside. Then investing into a better camera, a microphone, and lights. I would just want to focus on making the content as good as it can possibly be. The one thing that I would say always keep to yourself is scripting. Because at the end of the day, you are the face of the brand, and therefore nobody will sound better than you. And out of everything that goes into content creation, your idea and personality is what matters the most. And in my opinion, it is something that cannot be outsourced. What else really matters and needs to be focused on is the packaging. In other words, it is the title and the thumbnail on a YouTube video and the hook on a short form video. I would need to hook people in and get them to watch my video as much as possible. I would literally do whatever I can to stop them from scrolling on to the next suggested clip. So on YouTube, I would make sure that the title and the thumbnail get some sort of an emotion out of the viewer to get them to click on my video. Those emotions could be fear, desire, or curiosity. And ideally, I would try and hit 2 or even 3 of those emotions with my thumbnail and title. And then in the short form video, I would need to remember to hook the viewer in too. I would potentially make some sort of an outrageous claim or something that they did not expect, so I get a few more seconds of their attention. Remember, if you can get them past the first 5 to 10 seconds, chances are most people will continue to watch the rest of the video. That packaging and hook is probably even more important than the rest of your content. Just a quick tip. This all sounds like a lot of work, right? And it is. So make sure not to make another one of my mistakes that I did for a very long time. I took the time to do all of this and didn't even bother posting on all platforms. Think about it. You do all of this work. Why not spend an extra minute or 2 each day and post your videos on multiple platforms? Who knows? Maybe a lot of them will flop. But what if one video goes viral and gets you a lot of attention and email signups? Wouldn't it be a shame for you that not to happen because you're just focusing on one platform at a time? Okay, here is the unfortunate reality with social media that we have to accept. In the very beginning, when we create videos and get a few comments, we're going to be super excited. Come on, a real human took the time out not only to watch what we just made, but also commented back on something? That's pretty cool, right? And I'm sure you will respond to that. However, as the time goes on, the novelty will start to wear off, especially as the views start to increase, and so do the comments. And this is exactly what happened to me. In the beginning, I was really excited, responding to literally every comment. No matter how long or short it was, I always wanted to make sure to respond so they felt like they were heard. However, when I started getting a lot of views, especially on TikTok, and it started to get quite overwhelming, and I would spend about an hour a day just responding to people's questions or comment how similar I look to Tom Hardy. I mean, yes, it's a nice compliment, don't get me wrong, but when you hear it about 100 times, the message has been received loud and clear. And because we stop responding to every comment, we start to create this distance from ourselves and the people that really enjoy what we put out. So what can we do about it? Well, this is where a community on School or Discord comes in. I can either do a paid one and have less people in it, but only those who are my biggest supporters, or I could have an unpaid community which will have a lot more people in it, but will require a lot more time to manage and upkeep. Whichever way I decide to go, 2 things are really important to remember. First, these are your biggest fans. They took the time out not only to watch my videos, but find me on another platform so they get a chance to interact with me. I would really have to treat that with a lot of respect. Secondly, the community coupled with my email list will be by far the 2 most important assets that I will call upon when it comes to launching any of my products. These are the places where you will get the best success and highest conversions. This is why a community and an email list is more important than any of the social media accounts. And it may not be much right now, but if we can just persevere and stay active in the community and nurture the email list, it will pay off massive dividends in the future. Okay, now here's something that most people won't tell you. When I started posting on social media, Just remember, nobody knows who I am. They don't know where I come from, and most importantly, they have no reason to listen to me. I mean, why should they? This is why so many of my clients completely underestimate the power of testimonials. Yes, understand they can be faked, but it is still very powerful to get real video testimonials from real people your audience can relate to. Not only it will help with your credibility and reputation, but also those testimonials will be used on your social media posts, the lead magnet pages to get more emails, and even the landing page when it comes to giving your customers reasons why they should trust you and buy from you. I mean, there is nothing nicer to me to see when I go onto a landing page and I'm literally overwhelmed by the amount of positive feedback. Like, the whole page is full of screenshots, videos, graphs, Stripe accounts, you name it. Yes, I get it, we live in the 21st century and this stuff can be faked, but if we get into the good habit of getting testimonials from anyone we help, it will help us with much more conversions later down the line. I mean, come on, think about it. Let's say you were looking for dog training lessons and you saw a video of a very naughty, aggressive dog barking at literally everyone with a muzzle on. And then it cuts into another video 3 to 4 weeks later with the same dog being a lot more obedient. It may not convince you to totally buy, but it's definitely helpful, right? Just remember, those sorts of testimonials sometimes can be the magic dust that convinces your prospective customer to get them over the line. So I would always make sure that they are in my videos, lead magnet pages, and of course, the main landing page too. All right, so now that we have developed our reputation, got ourselves a nice little email list with over 1,000 emails on it, and we also have a community with active members on it who are not only asking questions, but are also going out of their way to help others too, it is time to make some money. This isn't exactly the time to start cashing out, but if we have done everything correctly so far, we should have built up a ton of goodwill with people that will at least be interested in what we have to offer. And the simplest product to provide at the very beginning is just a simple step-by-step course. Now, of course, it will depend on the niche that we are in, but nevertheless, I would make sure to do one thing, and that is really to give my heart and soul into this project. If it takes longer to create, then so be it. I would make sure that the course is so good and has so much value that I am really proud to present it to my followers. Some of the followers may ask, why should I buy when all of this information is out there for free? And that is a legitimate question, but the reality is this: not all information that is free is actually useful. For example, when I was creating a course, there were plenty of videos online on how to start an Amazon FBA business or how to do product research, but there was very little information about the more specific things like barcodes, the paperwork, and the legal stuff. The beautiful thing about a course is the fact that you can really give it your all. You don't have to worry about topics or views. You can just use this as a platform to give all of your knowledge away. Now, when it comes to pricing, I could do a whole nother video on that, and make sure to leave a comment below if you'd like to see it. But the pricing should be way lower than the potential value of the result that the course can provide. For example, one of my clients charged £10,000 for a course. Now, I know it sounds like a crazy amount, right? However, what you don't know is that the course is actually geared towards businesses doing over 3 million in sales. And the course is there to help recruit and increase the conversions of a potential sales team. Think about it. If a company is doing a minimum of 3 million in revenue, and because of this course, they increase their conversions by, say, an extra 10%, that's an additional £300,000 in revenue per year. All of a sudden, that £10,000 price tag doesn't seem so high now, does it? When it comes to pricing, I would think about what is the value of the customer's dream outcome from buying your course. It is always better to go on the lower side at the start and then raise your prices up later, then higher at first, see that you're not selling, and then start providing discounts. Not only will it make me look desperate, but I will also annoy the customers that bought the course at the original higher price. And the main bit of the puzzle, the one that will get us over the 10K mark in 6 months, is a personal one-to-one mentorship. This may not be a viable option when we are walking at scale towards 7-figure mark, but right now, I want us to get us to the nice 100K in our bank account. Therefore, a one-to-one mentorship will be the best option. And this will usually come as an upsell to our course. Whoever buys the course can have a quick 30-minute call with me to understand their situation and see if I can help them more on a one-to-one basis. This will be a much higher ticket item because not only they need my knowledge and support on a one-to-one basis, they also need someone to keep them accountable, someone to push them forward when things get tough. Think about it as a difference between just getting a workout program when you are trying to lose weight and having a personal trainer who will be there with you every step of the way and motivating you and pushing you forward. Needless to say, the chances of you getting the results that you want are a lot higher with someone with experience out there to help you. I'll be honest, all of that sounds great. However, we haven't spoken about the 3 types of videos that are literal client magnets. So make sure to watch this next video here, because if you don't, you may just end up making videos that aren't exactly hitting the mark and don't build the reputation that you really need.